Rosie, get out of there now.
Well, I'm gonna put your pony next time. I mean your unicorn.
Camille, come get these dinosaurs out of here.
What?
Good morning, everybody. We'll get started pretty shortly here. We're just giving some more time for others to join us. So we'll begin pretty shortly here. Okay, I think we're going to go ahead and get started this morning. A couple house clean before we get started. If we can have everybody mute their mic, just for the purpose of making sure we get through the presentation and we don't hear any background noises. So please, if you can just mute your mic, and if you have any questions, you can unmute it at the end. We'll be having a Q&A session. So you are attending a RAM Ready live presentation for the Health and STEM pathway. Thank you for joining us this morning. My name is Janine Gonzalez-Cerda. I'm one of the Health and STEM counselors here at Fresno City College. I will be helping with the presentation this morning with my colleague, Mr. Jack Yang. He will also be helping me with the presentation.
Well, welcome to Fresno City College. it's an exciting time for you all as you make that transition to college. And we're really excited to welcome you today and to just kind of tell you about what the Pathways is and how we can serve you as your teammates and as your team members.
So this morning, what we're going to be going over today is what a health and STEM pathway is. I'm sure if you haven't already been kind of presented on that, you're probably wondering what is a pathway and how does this relate to me and my major. So we're going to go over that with you. And we're also going to talk about what degrees and certificates that are offered within the health and STEM pathway. We're also going to go over some tips for success. We want to make sure that you're successful in all the classes that you take for your major to help you reach your goal. And so we're going to go over some tips of success and also go over some resources. Again, that may have already been presented to you. We want to make sure that you know exactly what resources are available to you at Fresno City College to help you with your success. And then towards the end, the later part of our presentation, we are going to open up for some Q&A. I'm sure you have a lot of questions, so we'll definitely get to your questions as soon as we can. And so we'll answer them, and we have a team here to help us answer all your questions.
So as a Fresno City College student, you are a part of a pathway. So every student belongs to a pathway. For you all specifically, you're a part of the health and STEM pathway. And in fact, the health and STEM pathway is one of the biggest pathways at Fresno City College. And the pathway is supposed to provide you with a clear roadmap from start to finish, as well as a team of members at Fresno City who, throughout your time here, will help you to ensure that you succeed and leave here in a timely manner. And so, as you can see, the health and STEM pathway is really big because, you know, as you can see, there's bio majors, chemistry, dental hygiene, nursing, kinesiology, and it's a really big team. And today we're actually going to introduce a part of the present team members who are here today for the health and STEM pathway. So your team actually consists of instructors, counselors, administrators, financial aid specialists, and student ambassadors. And like I said, the goal is just to ensure that while you're here, you are successful and you have an array of support, like a support system here. A few of the MSc and Math Science Engineering and Allied Health instructors are here today. I'm gonna go ahead and introduce the Math Science Engineering instructors who are currently here. Or actually, if you're present, why don't you go ahead and do your welcome and to our students.
Hey, Jack, this is Mark Kerfoot from Physics. Should I go ahead?
Yeah, go ahead.
Hi, well, welcome everybody. I know it's been a strange year since March here, but your instructors have all been working really hard to get ready for online classes. We're excited to see you here. Just a few things that I think is kind of important. It's gonna be a little different when we do online classes. It might feel a little more isolating, and some of the things you can do as soon as you get into your Canvas course, you'll probably want to go and check out your profile, and you can go and, you know, maybe put a picture, an avatar, put a little bio in there. That'll help you, you know, let other people get to know you better in the class. A couple other things that I think are good, and a lot of instructors are doing, are building in exercises, activities that are interactive with your classmates. So you should definitely take advantage of these opportunities to get to know your classmates. And I would say, you know, if you can form study groups with classmates, use Zoom, use Discord, use different options, use through Canvas even, you'd be able to, you know, discuss ideas, talk about your work together. I think it'll help you a lot in terms of overcoming that isolation. I would also say reach out to your instructors. We all have virtual office hours. Get familiar with, you know, using Zoom or whatever your instructor uses for office hours. And if you have questions, you know, this is new for a lot of people. We are happy. We're here. We're happy to help you out. Just ask us, and we'll do our best to, you know, answer your questions and make this a great semester for everyone. So welcome again. We look forward to getting to know you this semester.
Thank you, Mark.
Hey, Jack, I'll go ahead and go next, if you don't mind.
Of course.
Hey, everyone. My name is Nate Allen. I'm a math instructor and also co-chair of the department. And just to reiterate what Mark was saying, you're not alone in this, even though it might feel like it, especially in this setting. Just make sure that you reach out and really try to know where the resources are. Like for math, the tutorial center, we have ETC embedded tutors for each class, depending on the course and the instructor. So you can actually, like Mr. Kerfoot was saying, actually get together with students and even students that are tutoring through our tutorial center to actually help you through some of these difficult courses, especially, again, feeling so isolated on your own, being in college and being that new experience, but now in your bedroom or closet. So I know this is a tricky time that we're all working through, but just make sure that you find as many of the resources that you can. Use your counselors, use this team as your base, but then also reach out and get some study groups and things like that within your courses, because that can really help you not just get through, but excel in these college courses. So remember that organization, consistency, and hard work will definitely make things easier for you. And I wish you all the best of luck.
Thank you, Nate.
We also have some instructors from the allied health area. So if they're here and they want to introduce themselves, this would be a good time.
Good morning, I'm Diana Day, and I'm the program director for respiratory care. And as many of the students are going through changes, so are the instructors. I am learning how to teach online. So I just finished my course, and I can say that it was very eye-opening on what the experience of a student being online. So hang in there, you can do this. It could be a little overwhelming just because it is new. And just remember, it's just a new challenge. And with every challenge, there is a good solution and a path to winning.
Thank you, Diana.
Hi, I'll go next. My name is Rhonda Williams. I'm the one of the department chairs for the PE department. I'd like to welcome everybody to Fresno City, and I would strongly encourage all of you to possibly sign up for a physical education class. And a lot of people think, well, how's that going to work online? We've been developing classes online for actually the last few years, and it'd be a great way for you to kind of get out of that bedroom or that closet that you're staring at your computer screen and get out and move a little bit, because it will not only help you physically, but mentally, dealing with the stress of all the online learning. And we do have courses available that will encourage physical activity and movement, and just maybe even getting out of the house every now and then and doing some physical activity. So again, welcome, and sign up for a PE class so it will help you physically and mentally. Thanks.
Thank you, Rhonda. And I think I see Dr. Gilbert here as well. Dr. Gilbert, you want to introduce yourself?
I'd love to. Thank you very much. Hi, everyone. My name's Mike Gilbert. I teach human anatomy and physiology, and I'm currently biology department chair. Welcome to Fresno City College if this is your first semester. I don't have a great deal to add to what my colleagues have already said. If I had one piece of advice for a new student, it would be to reiterate what Mr. Allen just said. Organization is key. I strongly recommend either a hard calendar or a virtual calendar where you keep track of everything that's coming up, all of your assignments, all your due dates, just so that you can stay on top of things. If you're doing multiple classes, and especially an online class where there's maybe less, obviously face-to-face contact, knowing what you've got and what you've got to do and how to plan and organize your time, I think is a good tip and a great way of achieving success. again, welcome. Welcome to Fresno City College. Thank you.
Are there any other math, science, engineering, or APA instructors? All right, well, in addition to instructors, counselors are also part of your pathways. So can I have the counselors present just say a quick hello?
Quick hello from Dave Shoemaker and Transfer Center.
Hi there, I'm Michelle Hoff. I'm the nursing counselor.
Susan Amador, Allied Health Counselor.
Saul Fernandez with DSPNS on campus. Welcome.
Hi guys, Jessica Shadrick with Athletics. Welcome.
All right, and in addition to our instructors and counselors, we have our administrators. So our administrators who are present, can you just do a brief intro?
Yeah, Monica Cuevas, I'm a Dean of Students with Counseling. So take the advice that the faculty and the counselors are providing to you. I know this is a different platform, but I know that your success is going to be very helpful with all the resources that Fresno City College has to offer. So thank you for allowing me to say good morning this morning. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Ben Reynoso. I'm the director of TRIO on campus, and welcome everyone to Fresno City College.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Jaime Duran. I'm director of the Veterans Resource Center. As you can see, we're definitely taking a team approach to help you in your success at Fresno City College through our pathways. And welcome to our team. We're all very excited to help you. And as you heard from all the instructors and the counselors, a bunch of friendly individuals with the main intent to help you to learn and to help you with your success.
All right, so as you can see, your team is quite comprehensive, and we're all here to support you, from instructors, counselors, administrators, financial aid specialists, and student ambassadors. We're all very excited to welcome you to Fresno City.
So part of the health and STEM pathway, we have a lot of different types of degrees that that students are able to achieve, as well as certificates. So we're going to go over some of those now. We have what we call an associate's degree to transfer. We have a regular associate's degree, and we have certificates. And these are all majors and degrees that students can earn within our pathway, and who our team is here to provide in order to be successful in these degrees. Now, an associate's degree to transfer, and I don't want to get too much into detail because it can be quite confusing, but associate's degree to transfer is just a degree, an associate's degree that students can earn that puts you on a nice pathway to transfer to a university. So in addition to major requirements, students will be doing what we call GE requirements, general education requirements for transfer. And so that puts you again on a nice pathway to transfer. And then we also have what we call our regular associate's degree. Now these associate's degrees, they're not to say that you can't transfer. We highly encourage all students to transfer, but these degrees have what we call local general education requirements. So you're going to be doing GE requirements in addition to your major requirements. And then you'll have to do some additional GE requirements in order to make you eligible and admissible to a university, a CSU or UC. So associate degree to transfer, regular associate's degree, and then we have a variety of different certificates that we offer within our pathway too. And I know you're probably thinking, why do you got to make it so complicated and confusing? I understand, and that's rightfully a good thought, but that is where it's going to be so important for you to meet with your counselor on a regular basis to make sure that we are putting you on the right pathway to accomplish your academic goal, whether it be a degree to transfer, a regular degree, or a certificate. So some success strategies, and we've already kind of went over a variety of success strategies given to you straight from the faculty. But just to kind of go over a few more, and if anybody on the team wants to help emphasize the importance of these strategies, please feel free to chime in if you feel necessary. And I know a lot of you have already sat through some live sessions that RAM Ready event has already provided. But just to reiterate how important it is to familiarize yourself with the technology that's going to be required of you as you're moving forward in your classrooms and just as a student here at Fresno City College. So you probably have already heard a lot of information being presented about Canvas. That is the student platform that will be used on a very regular daily basis in your classrooms. So Canvas is a very important platform that students must be very familiar with in order to navigate through their classes, class assignments, class syllabuses, class discussions. And if you still are not sure about how to navigate through Canvas, I'm going to encourage you to go back to the RAM Ready webpage where they have live sessions and step-by-step strategies on how to navigate through Canvas. Web Advisor is another important technology students are going to have to familiarize themselves with. And Web Advisor is just your student portal. It's all the information related to you as a student that's outside of the classroom. So this is where you are going to be able to go and register for classes, drop classes, make changes to your class schedule. It also is a place where you would go to get your unofficial transcripts for any classes you've already completed. It also allows you to help guide you through your academic success on what we call a degree evaluation. So that's available to you, and a variety of other things available to you as a student, your financial aid award, anything related to you and your personal academic standing as a student. And then Zoom, your instructors are probably going to be utilizing Zoom a lot. And I know you're probably already very familiar with Zoom because it's already being used on a regular basis throughout the RAM Ready event. So these are some of the technologies that we highly encourage you to familiarize yourself, and there's probably a variety of others, but these are the most important. And again, if you still need some assistance in getting yourself familiar with these, the RAM Ready webpage has some live sessions you can sit through again.
In addition to that, it's important to know your major prerequisites. So a lot of students, from what I've seen and heard, they think that they're going to come to community college and just complete their GEs and that's it. And which unfortunately is not true, because you're going to need to do more than just general education. So depending on your major, you're going to have specific major prerequisites. These are just major classes that you need to take. So just an example, so those of you who plan to do like nursing, for example, you're going to need to take physiology. Before you can take physiology, you need to take anatomy. And before that, you need chemistry 3A. So, and then there's also some level of math that you must complete too. So as you can see, if you don't meet up with the counselor and plan accordingly, and have what we call a student education plan, also known as an SEP, you might not transfer or complete your associate's degree within a 2 to 3 year time frame, just because there's so many prerequisites. Math also has a lot of prerequisites. You can't just take calculus, unless if you're placed in. For the most part, you need to take pre-calculus or trigonometry or college algebra to get into calculus, which for us is known as Math 5A. It could take potentially 2 years for you to get to Math 5A, depending on where you start with your math. So every student is a little different. You and your friend might be pursuing the same major, but based on your placement, they might have a different math class than you. So it's important for you to know your major prerequisites and to take them in combination with your general education, so you have a realistic schedule where you can succeed and not be so overwhelmed with all just math or science courses. So know your major prerequisites, and if you don't, that's why your counselors are here. We will be here to make sure it's very clear for you semester by semester what to take, so you're never off track or behind.
And then utilize your professor office hours. I can't stress that enough to students how important it is to be communicating with your instructors. They are here to help you. It may not seem as though sometimes, but they are here to help you and to encourage you and to assist you with any support that you need to make sure you're successful in their classroom. So on Canvas, your student classroom platform, you will be given your professor's office hours. Every professor will have different office hours and they are available to you for support. So please utilize them. They are here to help you and to support you through as you're going through their classes to be successful.
And while, you know, this is like a unique time for all of us, your counselors and professors included, but especially as you as students, the most important thing is for you all to succeed and understand that navigating this online learning can be quite difficult. I know I myself struggled with online courses when I was a student. So given that you are most likely studying, learning from home, it's important that your home or your study space is conducive towards your success. Meaning wherever you study at, whether you have a desk or on the couch, you need to make sure that the space is will support you in your studies. So the lighting needs to be good. It needs to be a relatively quiet space for the most part. And as well as, you know, the computer space and all that needs to be able to accommodate your textbooks and all your paper as you spread them, you know, throughout the desk and all that. So having a conducive, positive study space is very important towards your success.
And then develop a routine. I'm a mother of 3, and if without a routine and a daily routine for us to keep on, then my life kind of gets out of control. And I think some of you can relate to me who maybe have kids or have jobs or family obligations, anything outside of the school. It's important to develop a routine. When's your study time? Even to the point when your dinner time, when your lunch time is, when your class sessions are. So developing a routine and getting on that routine on a daily basis, on a weekly basis is very important and a wonderful success strategy to keep in mind as you move forward. All right, so campus resources. Again, I know you've already kind of gone over some of these resources, but we can't stress how important they are for all students. RAM Pantry is a opportunity for students to get some free groceries weekly. Of course, our counseling department always here to assist you. The Tutorial Center, we have a variety of different types of tutorial services available to students. Those are just to list a few: Writing and Resource Center, the PASS Center. We have a Math Support Center, and that's extremely important for us health and STEM majors, as we'll be doing a variety of math and science classes as part of our prerequisites, our major courses, general education. So it's important to utilize all these tutorial centers because with the health and STEM pathways, these majors have some very rigorous science classes, and our GPAs are so extremely important when you're talking about getting into a special program like nursing or respiratory care or dental hygiene. The very competitive GPA wise, and transferring into a UC campus or CSU as a biology major or a chem major, very competitive, and our GPAs are extremely important when we're talking about transferring, meeting those GPA requirements. So utilizing your tutorial center for science tutoring, for math tutoring, for English tutoring is extremely important for all of you who are part of the health and STEM pathway majors. Keep in mind that we have psychological services, and we all can use this type of service. Even as counselors and instructors, this is just an additional service that helps you just kind of make sure that you are your test anxiety, your mental anxiety, your physical anxiety, everything that we deal with as human beings, that we are healthy in order to be successful college students. We have clubs and organizations part of our pathways, and some of the ones that I want to highlight as a STEM major our engineering club, and we have that club available as our STEM pathway pre-med club, and then a few others. If anybody else wants to add any more clubs and want to encourage students to join our club as far as the part of the STEM health pathways for those students who are interested in those areas. We have special programs such as EOP&S, DSPS, Puente, Ideally, and if you don't know what any of these are, we don't expect you to, but when you're meeting with a counselor, and if you have any interest in any of these programs, a counselor can definitely give you more information on what these programs are here to provide to you.
Sorry, as a reminder, feel free to, if you have questions, feel free to drop it in the group chat, and then in a bit we will facilitate and answer these questions for you. But here are some common questions that you might have or students do have.
One of our #1 questions that we get is, how can I make an appointment with the counselor? And that's a very important question because we want to make sure that you're on the pathway to success and you're completing your classes in a timely manner and you're aware of all the prerequisites and all the resources for you. So I wanted to show our website to you on how you can make an appointment with a counselor here on campus. Jack, do I minimize this PowerPoint or can I?
Yeah, let me go ahead and stop this. All right, you can go ahead, share.
All right, so when you go to the Fresno City College website, there's a variety of different ways, and I know the RAM Ready website also provides you or shows you a way to get to the counseling website to make an appointment. But the easiest way is if you go to the Fresno City College website under Student Services, and you're going to click on Counseling here. And there's several different counseling options. If you're a brand new student to the school, then you're going to be meeting with the college relation counselor. If you're a current returning student, we have a general counseling department that you can make an appointment. Or if you're going to be ready to transfer out, we have a transfer center and then online counseling. But if you are a current returning student, counseling office, and then it'll go over different options and how you can make an appointment with your area of interest. We have allied health here, and we have the math, science, engineering website somewhere here to make an appointment. But that's how you would get to the counseling department to make an appointment with a counselor.
And if you don't mind, I just want to mention, you guys are all now current students. Once the semester starts and you guys are taking classes, you guys will be going through the current students counseling office. The new students one is for students who haven't registered or they barely just applied and just need some general guidance on what classes to take. So you guys are now considered current students since you guys will be starting the semester on Monday.
And I also want to let you guys know that there's no rush to make an appointment today or tomorrow. I think that majority of you, if not all of you, have already met with the counselor to start the fall semester on Monday. Move forward with those classes because it's going to be quite hard to make any changes at this point, but it's going to be important in the next month or so. Once you settle in for the fall semester, that's when you should be reaching out to your counselor so we can help plan for the future semesters. So don't panic on having to make an appointment with a counselor to change your schedule. Start Monday, settle in for the fall semester, and the next month or so, then reach out to the counseling department or your pathway counselor so we can prepare you for upcoming semesters.
The next question is, how often should I see my counselor? So on average, at least 1 to 2 times a year, depending on what your needs are. If you happen to change your major, then you should definitely see your counselor as soon as possible because your education plan, your pathway, most likely might be different as far as like the math you might need to take or the bio class that we recommended or even certain GEs that we might recommend to you might change. So definitely, if that's the case, see your counselor as soon as possible. But on average, we do see students we do recommend you to see us about 1 to 2 times a year, and especially those of you who plan to transfer. Transfer is so complex. Every pretty much semester or sometimes every year, for Fresno State, for example, they change policies, or they have updates, and what we told you a year ago may not be the case anymore. So it's definitely good to come see us at least 1 to 2 times, I guess, an academic year, so we can update you and make sure you have the newest information. And so much of what Janine said, whatever you have for this fall, stick with it. And for the spring semester, I know we're like, barely in the fall semester, but as far as the spring semester goes, you should probably come see us sometime in the middle of the fall semester, definitely before registration for spring, so you'll know what classes to take. So the next question is, how long will it take for me to transfer or get my associate degree? So every student's a little different. As a student, your life is quite complex, right? You're working part-time, sometimes full-time. Some of you are balancing like life, family with your academics and school and all that, right? So, some students can only go part-time, some can go full-time. So it's really hard to give an average. I firmly believe that most students don't complete in 2 years anymore. And it's not because like anything drastic has changed. It's honestly just you as students, and and I know myself as a former student, is that life is complicated. Sometimes we have to work and all that. So we can't do 15 units a semester. So on average, I'll say it depends on you, but on average, I'll say it takes about 3 years or so. Like I said, this is major specific too. So those of you who have major and have a lot of prerequisites, it might take you more than 2 years, which is okay. I think already it's such a smart idea for you all to be at Fresno City Community College, because as we know, college is very expensive. And my personal opinion is that if you can complete all your lower division requirements at Fresno City, the better, because Fresno City, as we know, is significantly cheaper than a 4-year institution. And so if that takes you 3 years, you're not behind, you're actually on track. So that's typically how long it will take. Unit-wise, minimum 60 units. So you just do the math, if you want to finish in 2 years, you will have to do a minimum of 15 units each semester, because that's 30 units a year times 2. So that's 60 units in 2 years. Like I said, it's important for you to do what is best for you. You don't want to overwhelm yourself and take too many units too, because we, as counselors, have seen that happen, where a student tends to do well, and then they took too many units or too many courses, and they're balancing, a family with, work, and then they can't attend to their studies, which is, it happens, and then they end up on academic probation. So you want to make sure it's a good balance for yourself, especially with online learning now. It's quite different from traditional in-class person. So your success matters a lot. So make sure you also take a realistic unit load.
All right, so our final question before we open it up to let you all ask a question, if you have one, is what if I'm struggling in the class and need to drop it? My number one, personally as a counselor, recommendation for students who are in this situation is to make sure they are first, before anything, talking with their instructor. There are so many different opportunities that your instructor may be willing to work with you before you decide to officially drop a class. So make sure you're, again, talking with your instructor to see if there's any opportunity for you to work on your grade or any study resources that your instructor may have for you to help with you do better or pick your grade up before you decide to drop it. If you decide to drop it, I would highly recommend that you meet with your counselor or talk with the counselor, because there's a lot of deadlines that students need to be aware of regarding withdrawals. And if you withdraw a class after a certain deadline date, then you are then held to that substandard grade that you're going to get. And as, again, health and STEM majors, that substandard grade may affect you when you're transferring to your major as a major requirement and you're wanting to transfer to university. Health and STEM majors, again, are very competitive because of prerequisite requirements and major requirements. So you want to make sure you're first talking with your instructor, and if the end result is that you must drop the class, then make sure you're also speaking with your counselor. So that is the last question of our common questions that we wanted to kind of go over with everybody. But this is an opportunity for you to now ask any questions that you have, and we have a team ready to help answer any of your questions that you may have and may be thinking. No student questions?
It looks like we did have a question on the chat box. The student asked, do we still have to take placement tests? So does anyone want to answer that?
You know, I had actually responded back to her in a private chat, but I'll share it with everybody else. What I shared with her was we no longer do placement tests for math and English. They really aren't necessary. We actually place students based on their high school transcripts. And so if somebody feels like they maybe should have been in a higher math class or don't understand their placement in math or English co-rec or some other course, have them check in with a counselor and we can kind of explain that for them. But we actually do placement now on high school transcripts. This is kind of the short answer. We do have another question. Do you recommend renting textbooks? That may be, people have personal opinions on that, but I don't know. Do any instructors have any opinions on that? I don't know. That may be a personal financial opinion.
I know for the nursing program, you will have special codes and whatnot that you would need for certain parts of the program. So renting a book may not be the best thing if you're in the program. But when it comes to the prerequisites, that's more of a question for those instructors.
Hi, David. This is Mark Kerfoot, physics instructor. If I can chime in for a second. So I think with the online, 100% online classes, a lot of instructors are probably using not traditional textbooks with, that you can hold in your hands, but they're using online packages that come with, online homework, online textbooks, those kind of things. So if that's the case, and you got to check with your individual instructor, you would need to purchase that. You wouldn't be able to rent that. Some of these come with options to also obtain at an additional cost a hard copy version or something like that. So if you do want an additional hard copy version, you may be able to pay additional money for it. You may be able to rent it. But I think that probably, as I said, a lot of instructors will be using a kind of online textbook packages this semester.
Great, thank you, everybody. Here's a question I'm just going to tackle real quick. I don't have a counselor yet. Is it too late to get one since school starts on Monday? Most students at Fresno City College actually don't have an assigned counselor. That's where it works a little differently than high school. High school, everybody has an assigned counselor. Most students at Fresno City College, unless they're in a special program, don't really have a counselor assigned. So you can get in with most any counselor following those links, either at the General Counseling Center or the Transfer Center that Janine showed. And then we have a question, is a physical education class strongly recommended or required requisite for majors certificates? Does anyone want to take that question? Is a physical education class strongly recommended or required requisite for major certificates?
I'll say that it depends, first of all, for PE. We have, it's quite complex, the answer, so I'm gonna try to summarize it real quick, but we have different GE patterns here at Fresno City. And depending on what your transfer goal is or what your degree goal is, that might dictate the different GE pattern that you follow. If you follow the Fresno City College GE pattern because you just want to get an associate's degree and you don't want to do anything else, meaning you don't want to transfer, you don't want to get your bachelor's, then PE, it is a requirement. Like you do need to take at the least one PE class. But like I said, that is a short answer and it's a little bit more complicated than that. So depending on your goal, you might actually not need a PE class to get your associate degree. But this is where you need to see your counselor to talk about that. And depending on your major too, you might actually need one. So like for example, kinesiology, if that's your major, you want to do the associate's degree for transfer, you do need physical education, a PE class. So it's a complicated answer. Like I said, it depends on each student's unique situation, but that's the answer, or my short answer.
I'd like to jump in on that since I'm in the physical education department. Even though PE classes or courses may not be required, I would strongly encourage it, especially with our local gyms being closed right now. The physical education courses that we have designed for this semester for the online courses would be a great way to get your workouts in. Like I said before, just get out and get moving a little bit, especially with the gyms being closed. It would be a good opportunity to maybe learn something new. But like I said, get your workouts in and just maybe relieve some of the stress from sitting in front of the computer all day with your online classes. So I would strongly encourage taking a PE class if you have the time to do that.
I will add too is that we at Fresno City College offer a variety of different PE classes. And some of them may not be offered considering the hybrid teaching right now, but starting the spring semester, hopefully that we'll get back on campus. And there are so many different PE classes that students can take to help with their physical education and their mental ability and mental health in order to do well in their classes. So there's so many different options at Fresno City College for PE classes. Even though if it's not required, they're wonderful classes to take.
Janine, can I also say something about that?
Sure.
So as part of the majors for kinesiology and recreational leadership, some of those majors require you to actually take a physical education class as well. So like Jack said, it's important for you to speak with your counselor so that you're aware that you have certain physical education classes that you do have to take in order for you to be awarded the degree here at Fresno City College.
Okay, great. Another question, Victoria asked about can ebooks be purchased on Amazon? And our physics instructor, Mark Kerfoot, kind of weighed in with some advice to just you have to be really careful purchasing any ebook. And I would just add, you have to be careful purchasing any book on Amazon or outside the bookstore. I mean, it is okay if you're certain it is the same textbook or has the same add-ons or codes, but it's can get pretty complex because even though it's the same book edition and title, publishers are putting out so many different versions of textbooks. Some have access to online resources, some have additional material, some don't have any of that. So it can be pretty tricky. If you want to stay on the safe side, then I would definitely go with Mark's advice and start with your Canvas course, the website, the syllabus, and you can work through the bookstore. But it is true, you can, through third-party sources, you can get cheaper textbooks. You just really have to be aware of what you are actually purchasing. Unless anybody else has any other advice on that, we've got I think another question. Are summer classes recommended to be able to get ahead? What are some of your folks' recommendations on summer, and should students take summer classes?
Summer sessions are a great opportunity to get ahead, especially when you're considering the prerequisites that we mentioned several times in our presentation about you need this class before this class, you need that math class before this science class, and this science class before that one. It can be pretty confusing. And so taking a summer class to knock off some of those prerequisites to get into the major courses that we actually need for our major is a great idea. So my recommendation, if you can, your schedule and your life allows you to knock off some classes during summer. Keeping in mind though, summer is accelerated semester. So you gotta be careful on what class that you choose to take during the summer. And again, meeting with your counselor can help you work through that.
I might add about summer too, there's quite a few students that find that they actually do a little bit better on their courses during the summer. In fact, generally, our success rates are better in the summer. And I think for some students, they find they've got one course for a short amount of time that they just have to focus on that one course, and they actually do pretty well. So summer can always be a good strategy to either get ahead or even stay on track. You can take 12 units a semester, and if you take 2 courses in the summer, then you're still on a 2-year track. So, definitely summer can be a pretty smart option that a lot of students take advantage of. I think that may be it for our questions. Do any other students have another question they want to put here in the chat window and ask? We have some time.
These have all been wonderful questions, and thank you so much for sharing your questions with the group. I know we didn't go over specific requirements to your major, and a lot of you are kind of wanting to know some more specifics for your major of choice and your transfer academic goals. Again, that's where meeting with a counselor to kind of go over those individually is important. So, and then within the departments, like Allied Health has also other information sessions that students can sit through to get more detailed information on the nursing program or the respiratory care program or radiology program. I'm not sure if MSc division has the same, but there are a variety of different orientations throughout campus that students can get more information based on their major. Jack, you want to add anything, or do we have another question?
It looks like we do have another question. I'll go ahead and read it. So for students in the honors program, are we guaranteed to transfer out of city after 2 years? So David and I do honors counseling. David, did you want to answer that?
I just say, I know we talked at the orientation, and, send me an email and I'll talk to you directly about it. I mean, in some ways it kind of depends. I mean, unfortunately, no one is guaranteed to transfer on a certain timeline. I think for most every student, we can build a 2-year plan. But especially in the STEM major, it really can depend what you're coming into college with. If you're an engineering major and you're starting with college algebra and you didn't take a chemistry course in high school, then it's can be very challenging to transfer in 2 years. But if you come into college with a higher level math placement and maybe some AP units, it could be relatively easy to graduate in 2 years, and then there's everything in between. So, you know, I'm going to send you my email address, and why don't you contact me individually, and we'll take a closer look at your situation.
Okay, I think this is going to conclude our presentation. Again, we thank you all for joining us today at our Health and STEM Pathway live session for RAM Ready. If you have any other further questions, please reach out to your pathway counselor so we can individually assist you. We wish you all the best of luck in your new first semester, your fall semester at Fresno City College, and every semester after.
And just to just one thing to mention really quickly. We do have other sessions taking place today, so please be sure to refer back to the email you were sent yesterday with the list of live events. If you want information on textbooks, we actually have our textbook session that's going to be beginning right now at 11. So refer back to those emails that you get every day this week for RAM Ready, and we hope you guys have a good day.
Hey, you know what? Before we all go, we actually had a question pop up that I think would be good for this group. It's how do labs work? How do labs work? And if any of the, and I know it may be different depending on the discipline, but if any of the faculty want to kind of share how labs may be looking, I think that'd just be good for a lot of folks in this group to hear.
Hi, David. This is Mark Kerfoot again, instructor for physics. I'll jump in here. I think I can really only speak about the sciences, math, science, and engineering. But it's going to be widely different, the format for every single class. I know that some chemistry courses actually are going to have students go in person to do just the laboratory portion of the course. There's going to be all kinds of safety protocols that everybody's going to need to follow when they do this, so it'll be safe. Other courses, like in physics, for example, we are not doing any in-person labs, and so we are creating our own lab activities, and they vary in format. Some of them involve using simulated data from the internet, certain websites to simulate experiments, and you know, we've written up laboratories to go with those. In truth, a lot of these we're still developing as the semester goes on, so it's going to vary greatly depending on the course. And if you want more information about the labs, probably the best place to go check is your Canvas course website for that course. Those should begin to be published this week, and certainly by the first day of school on Monday. And if you have additional concerns, you can always directly contact your instructor and to ask about the labs for a particular course.
All right, anything else? If not, well, thank you for attending our RAM Ready's session for the Health and STEM Pathways. If you need anything, feel free to reach out to your counselor through Starfish with how Janine showed you to schedule your appointment. Other than that, have a great day and good luck this semester.
Well done.
Thank you, everybody, for coming.